Hi, friends. Today I want to share a new story with you. I hope you enjoy it. You don't even act like a real man, my dad said, shaking his fork at me. You're right, I said, staying calm. That's why I'm done paying for everyone at this table. Then I stood up and left, walking away from my whole family. Hey Reddit, before we begin, I just want to say we're almost at 2,000 family members. If you like what you see, please like, subscribe, and join the community. Help us reach 2,000 by the end of the month. Now, here's the story. I didn't think I'd snap during a family dinner at an expensive steakhouse, but life doesn't always give you a warning. We were all sitting around a long table, my parents in the middle like kings and queens, my siblings all around, hoping for their attention. And me, the oldest, quietly carrying the weight of everyone's needs. I was the reliable one. The one who paid the bills when Dad's businesses failed again and again. The one who helped my sister out when she maxed her credit cards chasing some fake online lifestyle. The one who bought gifts for nieces and nephews I barely knew because I was too busy working 2 jobs just to keep everything going. They called it love. I called it being used. The night started with fake smiles and forced laughs. My mom said I looked tired, then told me to go back to the gym. My brother asked how work was but didn't listen to my answer. He just went on about his latest crypto idea. My sister picked the priciest wine and looked at me like she already knew I'd pay for it. I didn't say anything. I never did, until my dad spoke up. You don't even act like a man, he said, holding up his fork like a weapon. A piece of steak hung off it, dripping. But his words stung more than anything on his plate. The whole table went quiet. That's how my dad worked. He didn't yell, he just said a few sharp words that cut deep. He wore his judgment like a prize. For years, I tried to make him proud. I always wondered if I really was the failure he thought I was. But something inside me broke that night. Maybe it was all the times I helped without thanks. Maybe it was how my siblings just watched, saying nothing, smiling. Maybe it was the nerve of being insulted after I'd used the last of my bonus to pay for this dinner. Or maybe I was just tired of pretending everything was okay. Tired of being the one who always paid. Tired of only being noticed when someone needed something. You're absolutely right, I said, my voice calm but cold. That's why I'm done paying for all of you. I stood up. No drama, no shouting, just done. I put my napkin on the table, pulled out my wallet, and left enough cash to cover my meal. My mom gasped like I'd done something awful. My sister glared at me like I'd betrayed her. My brother leaned back, wide-eyed, like I'd broken some big family rule. But it was my dad's face I remembered most. He didn't look mad. He looked confused, like for once he didn't know what to say. I walked out. It felt strange, like a dream or a movie. The lights of the restaurant faded behind me. The noise disappeared. I was standing in the cold, coat over one arm, realizing I had just walked away from everything I thought I needed to hold on to. But here's the thing, I didn't feel bad. I felt free. The silence around me wasn't heavy. It felt like something had been lifted off my shoulders. That night, I didn't go home. I booked a room downtown and sat on the bed for hours, staring at the ceiling. My phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Missed calls from mom, angry texts from my sister, and half-hearted messages from my brother trying to smooth things over. I didn't reply. I couldn't, because I knew the moment I did, they'd pull me back in like always, with guilt, with pressure, with fake love. And maybe I was finally ready to admit the truth. This wasn't a real family. It was a group of people who got too used to taking from me. I thought I was helping, but I had just made it easy for them to use me. I became the guy who paid for everything and took the blame when things went wrong. I stopped being a person and became a tool. And now that I said no, their true selves were showing. But then things got worse. The next morning, I got a call, not from my family, but from my dad's lawyer. Turns out, my dad had made some financial decisions behind my back over the past year. Decisions that used my name, my credit, and somehow my signature. I was shocked. I never signed anything. But the lawyer said I did. According to the documents, I was listed as the co-signer for a huge loan. And my dad had just defaulted on it a few weeks ago. It hit me hard. Leaving that dinner wasn't the end. It was just the beginning of a storm I didn't see coming. The lawyer's voice was calm, like he wasn't delivering life-changing news. His name was Raymond. He said this was just a heads up. Formal papers would come later, but the bank was already planning to sue. I laughed, not because it was funny, but because it was just so ridiculous. I hadn't signed any loan papers. I hadn't agreed to anything. The only thing I'd ever done was say no to giving my dad more money. Now I was being told I owed $130,000 on a business loan I didn't know existed, with my name and a fake signature on the papers. I drove straight to the lawyer's office, still wearing the hoodie and jeans I'd slept in. They led me to a quiet room and gave me a thick folder. I opened it, my heart racing. There it was, my name, my social, my signature, all over documents that made it look like I had agreed to back my dad's failed business. Raymond sat across from me, watching like I might explode. And honestly, I was close. Not yelling or throwing things, but feeling everything I believed about my family falling apart inside me. I couldn't believe it. My own father had stolen my identity, used my info to get a loan, and then let it all crash. And the worst part? The money wasn't for something good or important. It wasn't even to save the family. It was for some luxury car dealership he started with a shady friend, a scam I warned him about a year ago.
He laughed at me then.
Told me I didn't understand what it meant to take risks. He said I was too soft, too careful. But now his risk was about to wreck my credit, empty my savings, and maybe even drag me into court. And he didn't even warn me. No apology. No heads up. Just a disaster dropped in my lap while he kept playing the perfect dad at our family dinners. I left the lawyer's office feeling numb, holding the folder like it held a death sentence. My phone buzzed again. This time it was a text from my mom.
It said,
"Call your father. He's upset." Upset.
"Not sorry."
Not explaining. Just upset. Like he was the one who got hurt. Like my anger over being lied to and used was somehow the real problem. That's when it all clicked for me. Leaving that dinner hadn't been selfish. It had been the right thing to do. My whole life, I thought putting up with everything meant I was loyal. I thought helping my family meant letting them drain me. But not anymore. That night, I went back to my apartment, the one I worked hard to pay for, and made a decision I never thought I'd have the courage to make. I hired a lawyer. A good one. I gave him the fake loan papers. I showed him every message and call I had to prove I didn't agree to anything. He told me it would take time, but I had a strong case. Not just to fix my credit, but to press charges, too. At first, I didn't want to go that far. I didn't want to send my own dad to jail. But then I thought about all the years I was used. The money I gave. The way they treated me like an ATM. The lies. The guilt trips. The way they called it tough love while slowly breaking me. And I knew what I had to do. Things blew up fast. When my dad found out I was pressing charges, he lost it. He screamed at me, called me every name he could think of. Said I was tearing the family apart. My mom begged me to stop, told me we could handle it privately. My sister said I was being dramatic. My brother tried to calm things down and asked if I really wanted to ruin our family over a loan. But they didn't get it. I didn't ruin anything. I just stopped letting them ruin me. Truth is, our family had been broken long before I stood up and left that restaurant. I was just the first one honest enough to stop pretending. The case dragged on for months. I had to go through financial records, speak at legal meetings, and ignore voicemail after voicemail from my parents, some angry, some begging. But in the end, justice came through. The court sided with me. The loan was taken off my credit. My dad was found guilty of fraud. He took a deal to avoid jail, but his reputation was done. No one trusted him in business anymore. And he lost me for good. I changed my phone number, moved to a new city, and finally accepted the promotion I had turned down before, because back then, I didn't want to leave my family behind. Now I see it clearly. They weren't my anchor. They were the weights holding me down. And once I cut the rope, I could finally breathe. It's been a year since that dinner. I haven't talked to any of them since. And you know what? I'm not sad. I'm not mad. I'm free. I used to think walking away from your family was the worst thing you could do. But sometimes it's the most powerful thing because love should never be used to control or hurt you. So no, I didn't become the kind of man my dad wanted. I became the man I needed to be. And I've never looked back.